What up, y'all? It's Abuamerican and wait a minute, I gotta point that way. And Gabriel, mashallah, we're here for the first episode of the Halal Bad Boys. Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum.
I could not tell it.
Man, apologies for being late. That's my fault, actually, guys. I don't know if I'll tell you a little backstory. I mean, ever since the Rona, I've been doing like contract work, just freelancing, and it's been going really well. And today I was working with a private company owner, and I've been preferring to work with him because he works like he means it, and it's just he works like it's his business, and it is his business. And like today, he was just like expecting me to be on board like it's my business, and I'm like looking at him like, hey man, I got stuff to do, buddy. So he's driving around. Oh, we need some screws for tomorrow. I'm like, hey bro, it's like, do you see the time here?
You guys doing some renovation or construction or what?
Yeah, we do actually. This is actually we install very high. What's the word? Like premium sunshades. I
Okay.
don't know. They come in different forms. They come in like actual like constructed buildings. Other ones come in like actual like electronic phone controlled systems for your house. And we've been just going to these like huge multi-million like euro mansions and installing these things the past like week. It's been amazing to see how
Mashallah.
people live in Germany. I didn't know that they had like houses like this out here. So. So yeah,
Mashallah.
it's kind of fun. It's something new, something I never did before. But
I used to enjoy working in construction, man. I mean, I spent quite a few years framing and fencing and all that. It used to
yeah,
be amazing, man. Out in the sun, getting
yeah,
a nice workout. It was just amazing. I used to love that. Go home, just lay down, and that's it. You're out. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's enjoyable work. I actually didn't think it was, but it's well paying and it's enjoyable work. Whew. So how about yourself, man? How's everything going? What's up with you out there in Malaysia, man?
Well, alhamdulillah, man. It's a challenge, man. It's a challenge with getting my visa here, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
family and all that. It's been a challenge, man. I mean, I've been here for almost 2 years, and boy, I'm telling you, it's like not easy to stay in a Muslim country, man. It's like they make it difficult for you. They make it difficult for a Muslim to live in a Muslim country, man.
It's like that in the Middle East too, man. I was in the Middle East for a while, and it made it really difficult
Oh,
for me,
my
man.
video was in Qatar, right?
Yeah, I was in Qatar. I was everywhere, bro. I was in
Hmm.
Saudi. I was in Qatar. Um, I tried to stay in UAE. And I just gave that up real fast. It was all over the place. I visited like a bunch of places too and looked at the regulations. It's
Did you
tough.
visit Oman at all?
Sorry.
Oman.
No, actually, that's one place I wanted to go and I never got to. Man, everybody told me good things about it, but
Yeah, Oman is nice, man. It's like you really feel like you're in an Arabian country, man. The people are
okay.
super nice. It's such a mixed culture. What I love about Oman, it's like it's mixed African with Iranian, with Indian and Arab. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
Still a lot of people in
I
Oman that
heard.
speak Swahili, you know.
Yeah, I just
From
wanted to say that right now. I heard they speak Swahili there still.
They do, yeah, yeah. There's quite a few places in Oman, specifically certain villages, certain cities like Rostaq and other places that speak like the even the Arabs speak Swahili, because
Nice.
there were a lot. So you'll go on the street and you'll hear the kids speaking Swahili.
That's
Yeah, and
crazy.
then I had the chance to visit Zanzibar a few times, and some of the people there speak Arabic too. So it was quite cool, to see that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rough trip for me out there. I won't lie, to Middle East, man. I'm not in a big hurry to go out there for anything except Hajj again. I kind of threw it under the bus. Yeah. So, man, our topic of the day, a bit late, but the topic of the day, the war on Islam and Muslims. It seems like it's full fledged in full effect right now, man. Did you see that video? What's it called? Cuties. Did you see that
Cutie.
little that Netflix introduction cuties? Did you see that thing?
Yeah, I didn't see the video yet, but I saw the intro and I saw all the blabber about it. And I'm not sure why they're getting all upset. I mean, they're still gonna play it. They didn't do anything.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, we're sorry that we posted this ad, but we're still gonna play it. So it's airing, and I mean, bro, I was just talking to my wife just a few minutes ago, and I said, look, um, if we don't push, you're gonna get pushed. That's just the way. That's just the way nature works. You know what I mean? So if you look
Mm.
around at the Muslim Ummah right now, we've been just very passive. You know what I mean? We're just kind of sitting around, just like stuck.
Reacting.
And of course, bro, these guys are aggressive. You know, the people, the war against Islam is very, very aggressive. And people don't see it. That's the problem. I think the worst problem is that people don't realize. They see these movies and they don't see the connection that these are done on purpose. It's not done like, oh yeah, it's just another movie that's gonna make money. No, bro. Like someone sat down and said, okay, what else can we do to like attack Islam? What else can we do to piss off the Muslims? What else can we do to trigger some retard who's gonna start shooting someone because he's angry or something? You know, then we're gonna get more attention and exactly what we wanted. You know what I mean? I mean that's kind of what they want to do. They always want to push the buttons, and when the buttons are pushed, someone's gonna react, and someone is gonna do something, and they're gonna say, yes, that's exactly what we wanted. See the Muslims, yeah, that's exactly how they are. The way we told you. They're backwards, they're terrorists, they're evil, they're violent, and
Mm.
they want to get you. So they get what they want in the end.
Yeah. You know what's crazy to me though? That we actually got Muslims supporting this stuff. And they all said they don't support it. But then anyone who owns a Netflix account and pays those people money is supporting it. I remember back when they came out with that first like video series, or I don't know if it was movies or a TV series, I didn't care, where they depicted Isa alayhi salam as a homosexual.
Yeah.
And I just canceled my account. I said, look, my wife had an account. Actually, I never had an account, but my wife had one. I said, look, I said, cancel it right now. She's like, what? I said, just cancel it. I said, they're out here making Isa alayhi salam look like he's like a homosexual and stuff like this. I said, we ain't giving anybody who does stuff like this money. I was like, they was already on edge as it was, in terms of a lot of stuff they were producing. I said, but now they're like, attacking the NBI. They're attacking the prophets and the messengers of Allah. I'm like, this is just not going to work. And now here we come. They're like in an outright war now against the Muslims with
Just
this whole cuties thing. It's like, where
yeah,
did you
just
think they were going to go next?
yeah,
Hmm?
before the lockdown, they had the Messiah. Remember that series that started?
Man, they've been up so much, man. I don't even know. Yeah, is that what it was? The
He
Messiah?
Yeah, he was speaking Arabic and he was quoting from the Quran and the Sunnah and this and that. Like,
Oh yeah, he was like supposed to be the Dajjal or something like this, maybe, or something along the
yeah,
lines.
yeah, yeah. It was messed up, man.
They've been at it for a minute, man. And
Yeah,
then
but
yeah,
the thing is that the Muslims are not realizing that. I always tell my students, guys, yeah, you complain, but what you gonna do about it? Which one of you is the next person who's gonna intellectually stand up? Second thing I told the guys, you guys are, they all want to be YouTubers, gamers, and I say, yeah, but who's gonna be the one who's gonna produce something for the Muslim that's halal and in line with the Sharia, Because
yeah.
all of you want to watch something. I said, what you gonna watch? You're gonna watch something that's not halal. So which one of you is gonna be the next person who's gonna think outside of the box and is gonna put Netflix to shame? They're gonna make them go out of business, right? With some proper, high quality, halal, videos that will bring Islam to the world. But I mean, we're playing on their terms, we're playing on their own field. We're
Well,
losing, man. I mean, reality, we're losing.
that's one of the biggest problems, and that's why we need that's why we need brothers to like kind of step up the game, because it's like as long as you play on someone else's board game where they make the rules, they can change the rules how they want to, and that's exactly what they do. They shift goalposts, they change the rules, they flip things. Like today, I had this conversation. I can't remember how it came up. Some dude said like, "Oh, Abuamerican, I know you to prove of this," and some Egyptian guy, he apparently killed his daughter, some sort of odd killing. And I just said, "Hey," I said, I said, "There's no foundation in Islam whatsoever for honor killings." I was like, "Not in the Quran, not in the Sunnah." I said, "So," I said, "I don't approve, but I do understand." And what I meant by I do understand is I lived amongst the Arabs. I understand their culture and their mentality when it comes to izzah, when it comes to honor, and they take it very seriously. I mean, but that wasn't a condoning his act. I just understood where it came from, and people lost their minds, man. And it's like I lost my point here. There was a connected point. Now I'm like off on a tangent. I'm getting old, but anyway, the point is,
But I think
um,
what it is, we lost our ghira, we lost our
yeah,
our
we
our
lost our
our,
backbone.
our backbone, man. Like
Yeah.
people are just
Oh,
like,
sorry. Now I get the point. Now I remember. So I start arguing with this guy. I remember the point now. And this is the shifting goalposts. And this guy comes in and he's talking about, oh, this, that, the other. Muslims are the only ones doing this and this, that, the other. And then a brother named Omaid, he came in. He was like, "Oh, Muslims are the only ones to do this, huh?" He's like, "Well, it was just back in 2017. We had like black people getting killed in America for dating white girls. Is that not like is that not like an honor thing?" And it's like the goalposts shift only for us Muslims. It would seem, it's like you guys are the only ones doing this, and then you whip out the news on them, and all of a sudden, oh well, that's different. And Muslims are afraid to have these conversations and confront these people, and it's part of our problem. It's like we need to be able to confront these people. But I think one of the first things we need to do as Muslims is stop giving these clowns our money. It's not a matter of boycotting and protesting and who the ulama, they say this is this is like an innovative type thing, but it's like, what are we doing giving Netflix money anyway? You know what I mean? It's like you ain't got something better to do with your money than give it to Netflix. But then to top it off, you're giving them money and they're attacking us directly. Making the Dajjal shows, making shows showing Isa ibn Maryam as a homosexual, shows showing little Muslim underage Muslim girls, doing goofy stuff, taking off the hijab, stealing money from their family, twerking. Really?
And then they make it like it's something liberating.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. It's something so attractive. It's like that's the way to go. You wanna achieve success in life, you want freedom, right? They use the concept of freedom a lot, right? Which is like, they say this is the opposition to Islam, because Islam is permission and you have to be free, right? So it's so attractive to a lot of these young girls and boys, again, because I'm a school principal, I deal with students a lot. Like, that's the one thing that kids have been fooled to believe, that they have to be somehow free. And I say, free to do what? Define freedom? I always tell them, define freedom. What do you mean?
Question.
Oh, teacher, it's just to do whatever I feel like. I said, but you don't know what you want to do in the first place. I mean, put you outside somewhere on the street for a day and you're going to come running back to your mama. You don't know what you want to do. And they get indoctrinated with these terminology, freedom, liberation, equality, and they cannot even define these terms. These are just slogans that are thrown out there. They sound nice, and people keep talking about them so much, but you need to define, what does that mean? You know what I mean? And for a Muslim, I mean, with all due respect, there's no such thing as a concept of freedom. There's freedom from this dunya if you want to enslave yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but other than that, I mean, there's not that concept of freedom that people keep dreaming about. And I would say, freedom to what? Commit sins, to go twerk, to go make all kinds of movies. I mean, what's the limit right now? These what do you call these? The homosexuals, the LGBTQ, everyone's asking for their freedom, and now these guys are coming too, man. The freaking pedophiles and child molesters, they're requesting their freedoms too now. So where do we stop? Like, where's the end? I mean, there is no end if these people are not going to stand up and say, no, enough is enough.
Yeah, you said it right there. There is no limit. That's the funny thing about the line in the sand. When everybody's like, the line in the sand, there is no line in the sand. It just keeps pushing. It keeps getting worse, and it keeps getting worse, and it keeps getting worse. And if you don't push back, if there is no pushback, then I always bring up the comparison of fighting. Because I used to fight a lot, and I used to train a lot. And the thing is, if you don't like set a boundary to where your opponent knows that you'll strike back, and of course we're not talking about like Irhabiyin strike back or anything like that, but they know you won't resist. They're gonna roll over you. They're not gonna give you any mercy or any limits. They're just gonna roll over you. And this is part of what I do on Twitter. And on Twitter, I'm quite the eccentric character. But if you for a minute yield, they will come for you like mad. People will start coming out of woodwork that you never knew existed. You already don't know who half these people or half your attackers are. And that's us as Muslims already. People coming out of the woodworks, they just hate us because they hate us. Then when someone starts becoming an apologist for something that we really shouldn't be apologizing for, or something that we shouldn't be ashamed of, that we actually do have, modesty rules for both the men and the women, and we believe they should be enforced, then you find that these weirdos out of the bush just come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? We got our known haters, and then you just got those people. It's like when an apologist comes out, then all of a sudden everybody just starts piling on. It's like, well, where you come from? You know? It's like, why? Because you're showing weakness. And this is something that a lot of brothers, and this is part of, like, inshallah, we're going to be, this is just episode 1, but we're going to be talking about a lot of this. Is brothers need to get backbones, man, and don't be afraid. I don't care what it takes for you to do it. Just make sure it's halal. I get online and I just go to war with people. This is my religion. I don't care if you don't like it. Oh, well, don't you Muslims believe this? Yes, we do. Now what? And this is how we got to be with this war against Islam. We cannot be afraid because it's a war. Would you
That's
want to
right.
lose it? Losing this war means losing your iman. Whew, sorry, I get worked up, bro.
Yeah, they're attacking from all the sides. I mean, they're attacking our women, they're
Yep.
attacking our children, and I mean, they started first. They would, if you go back, let's say about 15 years, it was all about what? About hijab,
Mm-hmm.
hijab and women oppression and this and that, right? Now it's stepped up. They've been attacking our kids in the last, 5 years, LGBT school systems, indoctrination to the curriculum, systemized indoctrination, explore your sexuality, explore this, explore that, right? And now they're actually coming after the men. You know what I mean? I mean, they're really going to the core because, as you said, bro, like like in a fight, if you're just gonna be defending and going to the corner, it actually gives the opponent that strength and encouragement to just keep hitting and fighting, right? And you see, right, when you show an angle of weakness, the other person is almost like they get this spur of energy and they just start pounding at you, right? It's like there's an encouragement, right? And they feel it. They feed off that weakness. I mean,
Yeah.
when you get caught up in the corner, you get a body shot and it weakens you. That guy, even he might be so tired, but man, he's gonna start pounding because he wants to knock you out, right? And that's what you see. If you're not gonna fight back, you're not gonna push back. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna keep pushing you till they knock you out. And right now, they're attacking the core of Islam. And you know that you're in trouble when your own people are now slowly making a transition to the other team. Slowly. I'm not saying that they're there yet. Some of them are,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some of them are just straight up munafiqeen. But the problem is that now you see from the just your general people that used to be with you, slowly transitioning, showing signs of weaknesses, saying something like, well, it's not really like that. We shouldn't be so hard on this issue. I don't think it should be approached that way. Bro, I think you have to look at the hikmah and the maslaha. And I say, okay, of course, we know hikmah and maslaha, this is from the Sharia, but defined by who? By them or by us? That's the question. And
Indeed.
and that's the sad part. Like I've seen over the past 10 years, we lost so many brothers. Like we lost so many people, have burnt out and have slowly crossed over and just kind of like now they're questioning the ayat, they're questioning hadith, they're putting their heads above revelation. They're, just changing, twisting things and saying, look, we're living in different times. It's difficult
Oh
time. We
gosh.
have to take care. And I say, bro, but what do you mean difficult times? Like, did the Anbiya not live in difficult times? Have they not sacrificed their lives so you and I can have La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasulullah? And we're willing to give it up so easy? I mean, it's a shame, man. It's a
Yeah,
shame.
it really is, man. You know, this you came up to another point that's a very important point, and one of the biggest problems that we're facing right now: women. And the women aren't the problem themselves, but no, everybody always says I sound like a misogynist. I'm going to sound ignorant here in for a second. No, I'm joking. But look, women are we know are the doorway to attack. They, for whatever reason, they are the easiest influenced demographic within any specific demographic. When I say a demographic within a demographic, for the Christians, the female demographic is the easiest to attack from amongst the Christian demographic. And we find that this is a very consistent pattern. And what I've noticed is that since sisters are very, very susceptible to, like, Western feminist ideology and whatnot, what happens is when you have a disagreement with on a sister, and you say, look, hey, Islamically, this is what's correct and this is what's incorrect, and you're promoting a point or you're stating a point which is incorrect, you will end up, like you said, going to war with like all of male Twitter. Because, well, not all of male Twitter. Let me be just to my brothers, but the white knights, the simps, the guy looking for the Wally's phone number comes charging in. Hey, you're like, hey, who's this guy? Like I said, dudes will jump out of the woodwork, and you're like, where are you coming from, my man? I ain't never seen you before. 7,000 followers later, and here you come. Is this something you experience too? Because this is something I experience regularly. And so what happens is no matter how valid your point is within the book and the Sunnah, in the Quran and the Sunnah, no matter, irrespective of how valid and how strong your point is, if it is a sister disagreeing, irrespective of how wrong she is, you will find that sisters and white knight brothers will come piling in and like try and wage war on you. And I mean, I'm not sure where does this problem. I mean, no, geez, where does this problem start? I mean, Aqidah wa manhaj. I mean, creed and methodology. But, dude, you said burnout, and that's what brought me to this. It's like I've seen guys burn out, and I've seen guys join the other team because it's easier, And so we're fighting a battle. Is that is like, bro? I don't even know where to go with the point anymore, man. It's
But no,
hell.
people don't like conflict, man. And actually, if you think about it, um, they say some of the poets say that humanity was at peace only when they reloaded their weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I'm not saying that that's the objective of life or whatnot, but like people have to they have to understand that conflict sometimes is very, very important, and that's how you get things done. That's how it's been done throughout the history of mankind.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying here weaponized conflict. You're talking about arguing and making your point and sticking to the truth. Truth has been propagated sometimes through conflict, and this is the reality. Now, when these people attack, it's because they get criticized, they get confronted on their points, and they don't know how to stand up. It's like someone says, "What do you mean, you guys Muslims? You guys believe in this or that?" And the person, "Yeah, we do. If you really do, well, let me think about that again. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's not authentic. Maybe it's misinterpreted, right?" So like you question them once or twice, and then they give up, right? As opposed to putting your back straight, sticking your chest down and be like, "Yeah, we believe that. What's the problem? You have an issue with that? So what?" Right? But no, we have to always find an apology, an explanation, or something like that. We're always on the back end. We're always, and that's not the sunnah, bro. That's not how the Sahaba did. Imagine Omar Khattab being like, "Yeah, it's no, bro. It's like straightforward. Yeah, if you're wrong, he apologized and he admitted when he was wrong. Even when that woman questioned him on the issue of the mahar, it's like, and that's part of being a man. When you're wrong, hey, yeah, I'm wrong, but based on what? Based on Quran and Sunnah again, right? Not based on because you have your own desires on your own direction.
Mm.
But people need to push forward and they need to have a backbone and say, look, this is Islam. And as you said, bro, that's an issue of aqidah. If people do not understand what is revelation and what it means, revelation is not something that you just play on Friday and or even during the 5 daily prayers. You press play and then all of a sudden, okay, 5 daily prayers and that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
hasn't Islam been reduced to just salah and just basic things that everyone can? It's easy. Even with that, we're having a problem, by the way.
Only
It's
God knows what's in my heart.
only Allah. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. But people have reduced that. But bro, there's so much more to Islam. There's
Mm.
so much more to Islam. There's love for the sake of Allah, there's hatred for the sake of Allah. People forget these things. And
Yeah.
when you read the Quran, these things are clear. These are not up for interpretation. These are not up for people to start playing with.
Yeah. I think we need more brothers with backbone. I mean, just boil it down to the brass tacks. I think brothers need backbone. I told you before, and you're in it actually in the men's community that I run. And in there, basically, although I haven't been active lately because I've been doing a lot of guides and whatnot, one of the number one things that I say to guys when they first join the group is like, if you go to war on Twitter, you go ahead and drop that link inside of the group, and we got your back. As long as you are saying something that's truthful, we got your back. And I think that's important. The sisterhood, they always stick together. They know sisters are dead wrong, and they will stick together. But brothers, they'll see that a sister's dead wrong, and then what will they do? They'll jump on the brother. Oh well, yes, she's wrong, but you shouldn't speak to her like that. You've besmirched the damsel's good honor. No, she did it when she opened her mouth. Being jahil, being ignorant of her religion. So how do we fix this? How do we fix these brothers to help be aka quote unquote warriors against the war that we're fighting? Because it can't be the case that it's only like five brothers fighting the war. I'm not saying there's more than five brothers fighting the war, but you know what I'm saying. It's like in terms of like just pure, if we're looking at the wave coming against us, we got like five guys at the shore with spoons trying to shovel the sea back. It's just not going to work. We need an entire construction crew to build up the Great Wall of China style, ocean fight back wall. I don't know what to call it, but you know what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
how do we fix these brothers and their backbone? Because here's the thing: sisters, they're also going to follow dudes who got strength. The reality is that women, because I'm chalking this up right now with thirst, with male thirst, and guys are doing the opposite of what's going to work. They're trying to chase the women and like oh look, I got your back, and women don't like that. I mean it's probably deeper than just women. Of course, this is an Akida Menhej issue, but really a lot of guys, like you said, I've seen them quit. I've seen them quit the mission, because it always seems like the sisters is against you. But here I am, Mr. Abuamerican. Everybody's calling me misogynist. I got people calling me misogynist, and then they're in my DMs talking about getting married. The same sisters. I'm like, how is this possible? You know what I mean? It's like brothers, it's not that serious. So how do we fix these dudes, Because they're scared, and we need a way to remove this fear. And, the women are going to look up to them then, and then they're going to get what they want. But how do we convince brothers to be brothers, to be men?
It's a vicious cycle, bro, because these same men raise kids who are going to be weak like them, and they're going to raise kids they're going to be weak like them. So the way I do it is there's damage control and there's preemptive measures. Education for kids, man, like we have to really work on our boys. A lot of times when I do my courses, the sisters, as you said, they like this, man. When they hear the whole masculinity reclaiming Muslim masculinity, they're like, okay, do something for sisters. I said, I'm not a sister. I'm not a woman. I want to focus
Exactly.
on the men. I'm focusing on the men. Yeah, I believe that there's a problem with the women as well. And there are some sisters, alhamdulillah, who know and have seen the light and know the reality, and they should work on the women as well. And we can speak. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ was a man and he taught women, so it's okay, no doubt about it. But I want to focus on my boys. My boys are living in a very weak environment. They're getting weak education. When you and I grew up, my dad used to throw me, man, outside and go there. He used to watch me fist fight, bro, on the street, and he wouldn't interfere, even if I get my back whooped. But he used to see, and then he used to say, okay, it was a good fight, or it was not a good fight. And he used to ask the questions later. You know what I mean? Because he believed it was part of it. I remember I used to go to school. I used to walk 4 kilometers. And my dad didn't like worry and all that. And I used to get into fights with we have a big community of gypsies in Romania,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to get into some big fights, on the way to school. And my dad, his solution to that, me getting beat up, was that you're gonna go to martial arts, you're gonna go to karate, okay? And it's in the same neighborhood that you're getting your back, beat, and you know what, bro? At that time, I didn't see it, but now I thank him. It was a big lesson. But where are those kind of fathers? Like they won't even send their kids to the 7-Eleven, bro, to buy some water or something, or some juice. People are scared. People are scared to let their kids cross the street. We need to start investing in our boys to become real men, and the men, the fathers, they need to start taking our courses. They need to listen to the lectures.
Yeah.
They need to start waking up. No one's gonna. Allah said, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Allah will not change the condition of people till they
Till they
change
change
themselves. You
themselves.
can't change any of these guys unless they want to get changed. I
That's
put out
true.
the video, you put out your stuff. But if the guys don't want to change, well, guess what? Allah says again, how many of bands or armies, Khalil, very small, have defeated larger armies, It's
Yeah.
not in the numbers, man. It's in the heart and in the quality. And even if we're a few in the end, Allah has promised that it is Islam, will win in the end. So there's
Indeed.
no doubt about that.
You make a good point there. It's like, we make these courses, we do these courses and whatever else. This is not even a sales pitch, I mean, if people buy my stuff, alhamdulillah. If they don't, alhamdulillah. The risk is from Allah. But it's funny because, you'd be amazed at how many people try and yeah, I actually wanted to cover this point right here. Their father was systematically removed out of home by gynocentric social order. I was just coming to this point, Rolo. And, people will mock everything we do, you know, and despite the success we have, excuse me, I'm like tripping over my tongue here, thinking about like multiple points at the same time. Now, recently I was having this debate back and forth with this guy about the prices of my one-to-one consultations, but I have a 100% hit rate on success with my one-to-one consultations. If a family has broken apart and the wife has left the house, it's never the man's left the house. If the wife's run out of the house, I've always gotten her to come back to the house. If a brother was talking about divorcing his wife, I've gotten him to like give up the idea and actually get things back together. I even consult non-Muslims and I've had a 100% hit rate. A lot of guys are like, I don't like giving instructions. I don't tell dudes do this, don't do this. They don't like prescriptions. I give prescriptions. I say, look, this is what you're going to do and this is why you're going to do it and this is why it's going to work. And it always boils down to pure unadulterated masculinity. Now, Rolla makes a good point why we're like dealing with a lot of problems in the community. Name me one time anybody in the chat or you yourself, Gabriel, who's had some, more formal study than me, when have we seen this many single mothers in the Islamic community, except when there's been an outright long-lasting war between two states with Muslims? And when we say two states, we can go as far back as back when the Muslims were fighting everybody else, or the Muslims were fighting each other. We've never seen anything of this magnitude, not even close. And so we've got tons and tons and tons of men being raised, as you like to say, males being raised by women, and they don't know how to man. I hate to use feminist or like modern gynocentric terminology, but they don't know how to man up. But not in the sense that it's a utility to female need and wants, but in the sense that it's just an absolute pure masculinity that benefits us as a whole.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, and that's the problem.
Where do we see this?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm saying with the single mothers. Have we seen this anywhere else in the Islamic history ever before?
Forget about single mothers are there. Women don't even get married anymore, bro. In the Muslim Ummah right now, we have a huge problem of 40, 50-year-old virgin women who have never been married. You know what I mean?
Bro,
why? Because they're told this idea that they can be independent, they can focus on their education for 20 years. They become 30, 35, graduate with their PhD, with their 5-digit, 6-digit salaries. And then they're like, oh, I want to get married now. Well, guess what? No one wants to marry you. Most people not done it. People say, but it's a sunnah to marry older women, widows, and this, that. Yeah, I know it is. It is, no doubt. But I always say, guys, there's, the theory of Islam, which is very important. And then there's the waqi', the reality. You're not going to be able to change that very fast. People are still choosing, and they have the right to choose. Their prerogative, So what do you think they're going to choose? They're going to choose whatever they want and they like. So it's a big problem. And as you said, a lot of single mothers, a lot of children being raised by females who do not know. I'm not saying that they cannot do a certain part of the job, but that main part, for those boys to become masculine, to know what it means to be strong, to know what it means to be a real man, they can't do that, man. They cannot. And not just that, but we don't even have that global or that village for them to point the finger to other real men and say, okay, my son, this is your role model. I might not have a husband right now, but here in your community is this guy, and you should look up to him. And you should learn how to be a man from him. Everyone's in their own little corner, just trying to, to pass time, and they
Yeah.
wake up and then they're lost, man. They have no masculinity. They don't know how to meet conflict. They don't know how to handle problems. They don't know how to think outside of the box. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to defend their family. They don't know how to provide. They don't know how to struggle. They don't know how to hustle. They don't know anything. All they know
Yeah.
is how to complain. And then, of course, they will naturally, psychologically, when there's a debate or a discussion or disagreement
Mm.
on whatever platform between males and females on a certain topic, who do you think they're gonna gravitate towards? They're gonna gravitate towards what they've been raised by and what they feel more comfortable towards, right? That
The
soft
feminine.
spot that's been, nurtured in them, right? They're gonna see that
Yeah.
strength from the man. Is gonna say, "This is negative. This is not good. I've never, seen this in my life. I'm only used to the soft part." So they're gonna naturally gravitate towards the other side.
Yeah. You make a good point. You were talking about, legions of older sisters that never even been married. I got a personal story. I mean, I didn't. My second wife, I was, she was a virgin when I married her. She was 37 years old, bro. I mean, you got to imagine how that is. It's not an ugly woman at all, not in the least. But it's just the way it is. She's got a very good, solid career. She's very advanced in her career. She's a specialist in her career in the medical field. But how do you go that long being an attractive woman? You know what I mean? And unmarried. That they've been raised, all of them, with this mentality that you need to take care of yourself. You don't need a man, this, that, the other. And then when they get older, they actually are like, okay, maybe I don't need this, but I biologically, my body and my mind and everything about me is screaming that I do need this. And one of the funny things is that the Muslims have actually bought into this narrative, both the males and the females, because now you find brothers trying to do things that are counterproductive to establishing an Islamic household. Well, yeah, my wife's got a good career, whatever else. She can pay half the rent, I'm gonna move into her place. I literally get these questions and these statements from people. Yeah, well, I'm gonna move into my wife's place and I'm gonna pay half the rent and this, that, there. And I'm like, wait, you gonna do what? It's just the craziest thing, man. It's the craziest thing. This is very. I mean, from a Muslim perspective, this is a very feminine position to take. Why would a man ever accept that? It's the weirdest thing in the world. And why? Because, like you said, they've been raised by women. And so they only have that perspective to operate from. How many men have we seen that come with this emotional, like, they can't rationalize, think out, communicate properly, except from an emotional level type of men? It's just far too widespread. But again, we come back to this
Yeah.
to this point. When we want to fix this and when we want to remasculinize men, where are we out of this? Can we save the ones that are here now, or do we just look at the next generation and write these guys that we're dealing with right now? Do we write them off? What are we gonna do, man?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we should write them off. But I believe that the community as a whole, especially the preachers, and I've been reaching out, I've been telling people to, you guys have to start talking about this, I mean, it's interesting that we preach about the strength of Khattab, we preach about Khalid bin Walid, we preach these things on the member, but that's it. It just stays there, right? We never give a comprehensive study of how they were and try to imitate that. And I believe that more preachers should be focusing on this, bro. There's a lot of preachers who have a huge reach and they influence people. They are influencers. I mean, these people, mashallah, if they do a fundraiser, mashallah, 1 million people will be donating. If they do a certain campaign, people listen, right? So if they start taking this thing seriously, because I just received an interesting question right now. Someone is saying that, okay, so if we were raised by single mothers, how do we fix ourselves, right? And it's a good question. We're not saying we let you down. We're just raising. When we're saying that you are raised by single mothers, it's not your fault, man. Like, we're not blaming. I was raised without a father. At 13, that's it. I was taking care of my mom. You know what I mean? But I stepped up into those shoes as a man. I was working full time and I pushed. So we're not saying that somehow because you are raised by just a single mother, then that's it. It's over for you. We're saying there's a problem. We're identifying the problem. Okay, when we're
Yeah.
making these, you shouldn't get upset. People get upset. That's not what we're trying to do. We're saying there's a problem, and the way to fix it is we need more people to educate. We need more people to show and lead by example. I mean,
Yeah.
why are we have the most masculine example in front of us is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, why do we not take these things? Why is it just how he dressed or how he looked, or how we need to look at his actions? We need to look at a comprehensive study of his life and start making that our curriculum. Every single person can make a change today. They can say, you know what, enough of this. I'm tired of being a coward. I'm tired of being weak. I'm tired of getting pushed around all the time. That does not mean I have to be a bad person or anything like that, but I need to grow a little bit of a backbone and start standing up. And if more people, and again, according to me or to you, Gabriel Romani, Abuamerican, no, according to the Quran and Sunnah, people need to understand this is not our standard. I think a lot of people think when they accuse you or accuse me, they think we're making up our own standards.
Yeah.
Every time I say something, I'll try to say, Qala Allah, Qala Rasul. Abu Bakr did this, Omar did that. The Prophet
Yeah.
did this. The Quran says that. It's not. People don't understand what we're trying to do. And that's why they misinterpret. They start, what do they do? When people doesn't understand, they start personally attacking you. Oh,
Yeah.
you're this. But the labels come out. The name calling comes out. Because
Yeah.
people don't like it. It's not comfortable, It's very uncomfortable when you tell someone, bro, you're weak,
Trust me, I
right?
know.
I was just talking to someone in education today. I said, see, we've come up with this weak culture where it's okay to be number 2, number 3, number 5. Thanks for coming out, Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you tried. We appreciate that you tried, but we don't push for ihsan. And that's a principle of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ told us, do everything with perfection. If you fall short of perfection, at least you're good. You know what I mean? But people come out to play and they're okay with being number 20 or number 25. Oh, at least I showed up. You know what I mean? That's not what Islam is all about. I show up, because we know, for example, you don't just show up for salah. You have to khushu. قَدْ أَفْلَهَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed, they're victorious or they're successful, the believers who have khushu. So you don't just show up for salah. You have to really do it perfectly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the same thing in everything else you do in your life, being a man and all that, you have to do it perfectly. So we need to work on teachers. We need to work on preachers. More people have to talk about this. If there's no awareness, because it starts with awareness. The problem is right now, how many people, bro, can you count on your fingers that talk about this? Very few. Very, very few. I don't know anyone other than a couple of people who talk about masculinity and reclaiming that, that strength of Islam. Very, very few people. You can count them on the fingers.
Yep.
So that is a huge problem. And I see it like,
Absolutely.
because of this misunderstanding, people don't see the objective of what we're trying to do through our lectures, right? So I have another comment here. He says, brother, you are creating a very dangerous situation. With this approach, you will create fathers who are tyrannical and abusive towards their wives and kids. You'll see more broken families where the man is divorced and kids don't speak to the father. Our deen teaches balance. Stop trying to emulate the non-Muslims who are promoting this destruction. SubhanAllah.
Allahu Akbar.
So obviously the brother doesn't understand what's going on here, because people are selective in their listening. They're very selective. You open your ears when you like something, and you
Yeah.
close your ears when you don't like something. And a lot of times you will not like when truth is spoken, right? That's not the objective here. We are trying to rectify the problem, and no one is calling for tyrannical fathers. We're saying real fathers, real men, real people according to the standard of the Prophet ﷺ, of Sahaba, of clearly defined people who have received tazkiyah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And he said, radiyallahu anhum wa radu'an. Allah has given them tazkiyah already. These people
Yeah.
have passed by. I mean, sadly, I don't like to say it, but I think we talked about it last time. If Omar Khattab would be here today, I don't even know if he would recognize
Probably
us,
not.
man. You know what I mean? I mean, just I don't know what would happen, what we would say, what.
Yeah, he look at us like a bunch of clowns. You know, big ups to Q Man for the 4.99 super chat. Thanks, bro. He's been a long time follower and supporter. Big ups to you, bro. Jazakallah khair. I actually did a 1-to-1 with Q Man. Alhamdulillah. He's a nice brother. Rolo says it has to start somewhere, has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better place than now? We need a masculine revival. You know, just talking about that right now, I'm gonna come back to this. And this is, again, this ain't a sales pitch because I did Abuamerican for free for like 7 years. I just started monetization in like since the Rona. So, but I started a men's group and I was in multiple groups, and the whole idea was like masculinity being a thing. And those guys in that group, for the vast majority of them, if they're not new, I can vouch for those guys as true masculine dudes that got like serious backbone. What's important to them is Quran and the Sunnah and sticking to it to the best of their ability. So, nothing else comes before that. Not the desire to get multiple wives, not the desire to just get one wife, not the desire to just look good in front of somebody's society, this one, that one, whoever else. Oh my God, they're going to think the Muslims look terrible because we said this or we said that. Everything in there with those guys is 100% about like being the best masculine Muslim that we can, from our religion to our money to like, getting married or whatever else. The thing is, I use monetization to keep like jokers out, because if you ever run a free group, I advise you not to do it, because you're just going to it's going to be just like Twitter. You're just going to have a bunch of clowns coming in, and then just disrupting the flow of everything. And then just, eventually you're going to have to kick them out. And all you're going to do is you spend time being, a dang moderator to chaos. So, I mean, Rolo, I'm personally trying to do my part, inshallah. I got 6 sons. Alhamdulillah, they're all on the path to look like masculinity, but obviously I can't do it by myself. You were talking about this question that you got, or this statement that you got from a brother saying, like, you're going to get tyrannical fathers and whatnot. I mean, this is what I'm talking about right here. So where does this mentality come from? When we look historically to contemporarily, where are fathers, the vast majority of fathers, tyrannical, like, abusive dudes? In general, men, they love their wives, they love their children, and they do the best they can for them in all circumstances. It's more of the exception that you find abusive, tyrannical fathers. And even in that tyranny, if he's not abusive, in that tyranny, somewhere there's the desire to protect them from something, be it socially or physically, or both. Because sometimes you live in an environment that's dangerous, and that environment can be like a city where you have both a mixture of social, ills and problems, and actual physical ones. Your kid might get caught out, like, in impermissible sex, or get stabbed, or both, get stabbed while he's going to have impermissible sex with some girl. That's the social and the physical in some other place. So maybe he's tyrannical because of that. Muslims don't want their daughters going out being a bunch of thoughts. And if you're tyrannical in that, and it's based upon Islam, there's no problem in being tyrannical. Don't be ashamed to be tyrannical. You don't have to allow your daughter to go out and do whatever the hell she wants to do. My daughter's 20 years old, and if I seen her in a mini skirt at home, let alone outside the house, boy, my kung fu skills, I'd be like Steven Seagal. All right, I ain't gonna karate chop her, but she definitely ain't going outside the house like that. I mean, if she's at home, I'm gonna tell her change her clothes. It's not something we do. It's not what we do. You can't be afraid to set Islamic boundaries as a man. So that statement that guy's making, he's kind of crazy. I'll give you a personal example, because I love personal examples. My wife got online and she started, like, attacking her co-wife, and she said some things that were way out of line Islamically. So I took her I told her, I said, look, you need to chill out, and if you don't, you're not going to be online for a while. And she was like, no, I'm not going to, rah, rah, rah. So I got home and I broke all her electronics. I just took her phone, was like, crack, crack, crack. Now, people were like, oh, look at this guy, he's like oppressive, this, that, the other. But when we talk about our Islamic duty, protect your family from the fire whose fuel is men and stones, as Allah says in the Quran. What does that entail? If your wife's out like cursing people, making riba and namima, backbiting and name calling and all these types of things, and the way that she was doing it, it could be construed as a major sin. I'm not trying to put my wife out there and air her sins, but I'm just saying this is an example because she did it publicly. Where does that protection come in? How do you protect them from the fire that's fueling men and stones? Am I tyrannical? Yes, I'm tyrannical in protecting her from the fire and the wrath of Allah. Which is more important? Looking good on social media and letting her just do whatever she wants to do and wild out, or protecting her in front of the wrath of Allah? Guys they've got their priorities mixed up. They're so obsessed with looking good for social media and looking good for media, that they forget that Allah is standing over you, watching you and what your family's doing or what you're doing or what you're looking past in order to try and look good for people. Well, who's it more important to look good for? Allah or the people? You know, if I ain't got any shame in front of Allah, you're under the bus. You know, that's part of why Abuamerican is Abuamerican. Because you know what, if I ain't got that, and I'm not saying I should be shameless in front of Allah, but it's like, you know, I'm not gonna put on a show for you people. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to my duty, you know, as a man in Islam, I have authority. I have that authority. And so I'm going to exercise it to protect them to the best of their ability. And so it's not, it's a goofy thought. It's a very non-masculine position to take as a Muslim man to say that, you know, you're going to be an authoritarian father. Well, like you said earlier on, Gabriel, and you're 100% correct, we don't have absolute freedom of speech or absolute freedom in Islam. There's rules, there's regulations, and there are limitations. And we need them, obviously, because when we look at the way our people in the West, because I say our people because I'm from the West, you're Romanian, so you're from the West. When we see the direction, well, Romania is better off because they're a little bit more conservative, but you know, Western countries in general have like severe problems, you know, in comparison to what we
I
have
mean,
in
the
terms of the rules of
conflict.
Islam. What we see happening, is that what we want for us? So where, yeah, when do we? Sometimes maybe we need to do be, you know, a little bit tyrannical, but not an oppressive tyranny, but more of a like, look, this benefits you, and this is why, and you know, this doesn't come except with tarbiyah wa tasfiyah, like what do you call it, purification and help me out.
Education.
Yes, thank you. Um,
Well, very simple, bro. Like we always have evidence. We are an evidence-based faith. That's the difference between Islam and everything. That's the difference between truth and everything. Okay. When you look at the Prophet, ﷺ, he's talked about his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha, right?
yeah.
And he said, if she steals, I would cut her hand off, right? It's
Yes.
a very famous hadith. He
Oh, you couldn't
loved
say that
Fatima.
nowadays.
The Prophet ﷺ would stand up for her, to greet her, and hug her, and he loved her. But see, when it comes to the truth, I mean, he used this example in a very, very important context where people are trying to bend the rules. Okay, people are trying to bend the rules, and that's what's happening today. People are just flexing and bending, and as soon as you come up with something from the Quran, they're gonna say you are tyrannical, you are, you're an extremist, you are aggressive, and all these negative, labels that they're gonna use. And of course, everyone's gonna say, "Oh yeah, yeah, it sounds very bad," because we're conditioned to believe that protecting your honor and your dignity is something bad. Everyone should be loose and do whatever they want to do and feel the way they want to feel. And subhanallah, the changes that are happening, and it's not gonna stop, bro, with QTs and these little what are 11-year-old Muslim
Yeah, I
girls
don't know what the hell
doing
that was all
twerk.
about.
It's not gonna stop. 11, they're gonna push the boundary. All kinds of ills are gonna happen because no one has the guts to say enough, enough. Enough is enough. If the Muslims have no shame about their deen, and people think, oh, shame is only like dressing, or no, it's about your daughters, it's about your sisters, it's about the ummah. Okay, one of the Prophet ﷺ kicked a whole tribe out for one woman, bro. For one woman, one of the Khalifas, he sent an army. He said, I will send an army from my porch to your porch for one woman, who said, Wa Mu'tasima wa Islam. She just made that call because she was being oppressed. You know what I mean? Because he didn't say, is this my wife? Is this my sister? Is this my. They felt the jealousy because they knew if one woman is corrupt or corrupted, if one of our mothers, one of our sisters who's going to raise the next generation, then it's over, man. You open that door is not going to be able to be closed.
Indeed.
And I mean, the evidence is just over. But hey, you're gonna be an extremist. You're gonna be misunderstanding, misquoting. It's a different time. It's a different century. It's a different, Everything is different now. It's as if Islam is time bound, which we know that is not never. It's never gonna happen. Allah says, لِيُظْهِرَ عَلَى دِينِ كُلِّهِ. Allah said that Islam will surpass everything else. It has to be on top. But this kind of talk today is not accepted. Yet it is very accepted for every other group to push and demand their right and to say that we are going to be on top. Everyone else is saying that. Everyone else is in the race for spot number one, for number one place, except for the Muslim. The Muslim, you know what the Muslims say? Tafaddal. We're very good at tafaddal. Go ahead, Bismillah. Take it, This is what it is, And we say, look, hey, we're nice guys. We're tafaddal people, And everyone else is going for the podium. And that's sad. That's just sad.
It's a shame, man. It's a shame.
Yeah, there's another interesting comment here.
Okay, please.
Men need a wake-up call to what polygamy is. I'm not sure how this topic came up, but it's not fun, rainbows and daisies. It will make or break a man. It's responsibility of two entire households. It's not two, it's four, technically. It's commitment. I agree. Brothers are trying out and bailing once reality hits. It happens. I agree with that. So many sisters are used and burnt by brothers who are encouraged to enter in polygamy without a realistic, detailed explanation of the magnitude of the responsibility. Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying, because only a real man can practice polygamy.
Yeah.
A weak man is not going to be able to do it. And that's what we're trying to do. Actually, when I made the polygamy series, I said, sisters were getting upset. I said, this is the solution, guys. We are trying to raise real men who are going to be able to, because man is not going to stop from practicing polygamy. It's in his blood. It's in his nature. So I said, let us teach them how to do it properly. Let us put real men out there who are going to be able to do it the right way. You know what I mean? And then the women will be happy. They'll be content. But if you put weak men, of course, they will use the sisters. As soon as reality hits, as soon as some difficulty happens, they're going to bounce out. They're going to jump away and run away from responsibility. No doubt.
You know what? I mean, I could comment on this because I'm a polygynist guy. And you know, to be a polygynous man, and it's not my intention to crap on monogamous guys. We know that monogamy, there's nothing frowned upon it in Islam. You know, if a person does it, he does it. If he wants to be polygynous, he's polygynous. But, you know, it does take something extra in a man to be polygynous. I mean, you got to work twice as hard in terms of like paying attention to, you know, both households, financially, you know, physically, emotionally, all that stuff that comes with having one woman. But now you double it up. So that can't take a regular guy. He's a guy who can do this on two different levels with two different women, because every woman comes with their own set of like special drama, for lack of a better term. As I said, and I was joking when I said it, but, you know, every woman is an emotional epileptic terrorist. You know, one day they're going to have a seizure, or they're going to, you know, go off a reservation and they're going to attack. But they're all like, you know, super emotional, like, you know, bandits that eventually attack. And when you have like a rotation where it's like their breakout point, because it happens about 3 to 4 times a year where one takes off and then one calms down and one takes off, you know, you got to be a special dude to be able to do that. You talk about economics. Everybody's talking about the economics of running one house and how difficult it is. Imagine too, it takes a special kind of man. So this entire conversation, you know, I mean, you want more masculine men, you get more polygynous men. Now this entire thing about using sisters, I mean, come on, it's a stupid conversation. It's like, does a guy really need to take on multiple wives in order to use women? What, I've seen some serial monogamous guys been married 17, 18 times back to back. I've seen this, you know. I mean, I'm a guy with a lot of divorces behind me, but that's because I'm a polygynous guy. Sometimes, you know, you got a team of 3 and you're like, yo, look, if y'all don't calm down and stop doing goofy stuff that, like, you know, is like really Islamically off the board, what do you end up? You end up with 3 divorces like that. You know, it's not an excuse, but I'm just saying it happens very fast. And so, and we know from the Sunnah that there's nothing like, you know, that frowns upon it. But at the same time, it's like this entire conversation that polygyny is used to like use sisters or whatever else, it's just kind of goofy. So it just doesn't even make sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Guys, this is the thing. It's coming back to this entire feminine talking point. These are female talking points. You know, if you want to use women, you don't need to get married polygynously. You know, it's actually more difficult to use women polygynously married than it is to just go out and do your dirt. Guys got to stop thinking like women. It's just a mess, man. We had some comments here, and there's someone I wanted to talk. I want to touch off on. Mm, yeah, this one Rolo said. Rolo's my man. Rolo, you're welcome on the show anytime, man. Rolo Tomasi, he's not Muslim, but he's doing a book, The Rational Male. He's talking about red pill and religion, and he's of course got a section on Islam. He says the disempowerment of all men, religious or not, begins by generationally convincing men to police themselves about being tyrannical in their protectiveness with women. I have to agree 100%. We see this taking place right now with the Muslims. I just got into an argument with a sister. This sister called herself a movie hoe on her Twitter profile, in her Twitter bio. That was literally what she calls herself. And her brother said it right. He says, under what context would does a Muslim woman label herself a hoe? But anyway, I probably was out of line, and I said, hoe confirmed in regards to a comment that she said that was really like misplaced and out of line. And then brother started jumping out of woodblocks. Oh, you called her hoe, this, that, the other, and it's in her Twitter profile that she's calling herself a hoe. Do you see what I'm saying, brothers? There's no logic anymore. There's no reason. There's no nothing. We are dealing with. What do we call it? I don't want to start taking on like feminist talking points and start calling guys manlets and whatever else. But what do we call them? How do we identify these dudes without using like shaming feminist tactics and language? How do we? I don't even know how to deal with these guys, man. Or what to call them? I don't want to be insulting, but at the same time, this is the root of our problem: is that disempowering men to the point to take on women talking points. That you cannot criticize a woman is 100% correct. I agree with Rolo 100%. It is an attempt to walk in the door and right off the rip. And like I said, the easiest demographic to influence within any community, within a demographic, is the female one. And we see this going on really hard with Islam and the Muslims, especially that cuties thing, man. It's just really, yeah.
I mean, they really did it, And subhanallah, I looked at the trailer just to check it out to see what's going on. And as you said, it's like about stealing money, about getting hooked up with boys,
Yeah.
all the ills. And this is
Everything.
something like, and the funny thing is that it's I think they're 11-year-old, but the movie's for like adults. It's not for children. It's not a movie, or that's made for 11-year-olds. It's a movie that's made for adults. Just very, very weird, isn't it?
Yep.
But guess who's gonna watch it? Who's gonna watch it? And people don't understand how easily you can influence. Just a picture can change the dynamics of your brain. One picture, bro. One picture. People don't understand. They think, no, it's not gonna influence. It's just out of curiosity. It's just people find connections to all kinds of things, and it motivates them. It gives them purpose in life. It makes them try and want to do the same things. You're gonna have a bunch of little girls, being empowered by this movie, and they're gonna go to their parents, and guess what they're gonna say? They're gonna say, "I want to do the same thing," and the father's gonna say, "No, you don't." And what she's gonna do? She's gonna go tell her friend that my father is limiting my freedom, or they might pick up the phone and dial 911 or whatever, wherever they are. And call the police and say, Muslim girls do that already in Western countries. And now even in Muslim countries, bro, they've come up with this type of approach where, be careful, don't scold your children. Or if you're a child, they teach this in school. You can call the police, you can go to your counselor, no doubt that no one wants, there's some whatever, 1 in a million, people who are gonna take things out of line and they're abusive or whatever. But in general, parents have the right to school their kids, man, and to make sure they protect them. I got beat by my father, man, but alhamdulillah that he did that, but he loved me, and he balanced it with love, and I learned the difference between fear and love. Subhanallah. And look at this. Look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created heaven and hell. There is fear and there is hope in ibadah. You know what I mean? This is part of creation. Yeah. This is part of the akhirah. This is how life works. But people, they don't want none of that. They don't want none of the punishment. They don't want keep Islam to salah, keep Islam to zakah. The beautiful part of Hajj, when it comes to hudud, that chapter in the Sharia, oh, it's a boogeyman, you know.
Mm.
No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to bring these issues up, you know. It's very, very embarrassing for the Muslims
Yeah.
to talk about certain things. So it's a pick and choose Islam, you know. It's أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْدِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْدِ. You know, you take believe in part of the book, you disbelieve in others. That's what where we've reached. And it's because of that approach, that type of manhaj, that type of understanding of Islam that we are suffering from what we are today. And some people are
Indeed.
asking us, okay, give us some practical solutions. What are some practical solutions? Well, practical solutions is number one, like people need to make an intention. What does everything starts with? It starts with an intention. Right? People need to make an intention. They gotta say today, it's over. I'm gonna stop being a weak, cowardly Muslim. I'm gonna learn my deen properly. I'm gonna, it's in the mind. I'm gonna start putting some effort in. I'm gonna watch what I do. I'm gonna start exercising a bit. I'm gonna start taking care a bit better of myself to feel better about myself. I'm gonna start listening to more things that talk real talk, not just like as the sister was saying, rainbow and lilies and daisies and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? Real talk, man. I mean, when you read the Quran, it's real talk. You know what I mean? If people want real talk, okay, read the Quran. Read the Quran completely. Don't skip over Surah Tawbah. Don't skip over Surah Munafiqeen. Don't skip over a certain, read the Quran. Read the tafsir. Okay, if someone is going to tell you you're not qualified to read the Quran, okay, read the tafsir and see if you're going to get a different picture. See if you're going to get daisies and flowers and roses. You know what I mean? No doubt there is a balance. No doubt there is, rifq, as the Prophet ﷺ said, or,
Mm.
kindness and justice and amana, there's amana. But everything is in context. Everything has its own purpose and its own place.
Yeah.
And I think right now we have softness, we have love, we have passion and mercy, but I think we're missing some strength. We're missing some real talk. We're missing that. That's where we're low at, and I think we need to inject more of that.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to close up because I know it's late there for you. I got a statement from Jonathan Schultz. It must be very difficult for traditional Muslims to come to work in the U.S. and Canada, Europe, with daughters exposed to this stuff. Jonathan, you've got like multiple points here. First and foremost, it's questionable. It's not even questionable. It's known from the ulama. The ulama are like major scholars of Islam. So some of this terminology, I'm using more Muslim-specific terminology. The ulama of Islam that are alive in our time, and both some of who have died recently, contemporarily, dead ulama, they have ruled that it's not permissible for Muslims, male or female, to leave the land of the Muslims to go live in the land of the non-Muslims, unless there's a very specific reason. Medical treatment was one of them, study was another one of them, and there's a few other reasons. But none of them include actually moving to the land of the non-Muslims and living there. And that's because of these influences that will take place societally. And that, we know that in the West, you really don't have a lot of power. What keeps us in check, what keeps us in power as Muslims, is the understanding between both men and women that Islam rules all, and that after Allah, after Qala Allah, Qala Rasul, after the saying of Allah and the saying of His Messenger, we really don't have an opinion on it. That's literally a hadith that and it's an ayat also, that after Allah and His Messenger have determined an affair, then the response of the believer is we hear and we obey. You don't have an opinion after it. So that's what generally keeps us in our authority. And anybody who actually goes against this, then it's like you're really throwing yourself under a bus, and that can have far-reaching consequences, because we still are in general a very large community. Next, and I'm just speaking as a father of 9, it is difficult to raise traditional children. It's a very tough battle. Just raising children in general to maintain the morals, ethics, virtues, and values that you as a parent want to instill in them over what's going to be taught to them on the television, in the schools, social pressure and proof from amongst their peer group. Dude, it's a monstrous task, and it's not something you can go slack on ever.
No,
Yeah.
no.
This is not just us though either. We see that this is something that needs to take place amongst the Christians, amongst the Jews, also. So yeah. You want to comment on that, bro?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. It's tough, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ told us specifically again when it comes to girls. And he said, if a Muslim man has 3 daughters and raises them properly, takes care of them and educates them, he'll get Jannah. And then a Sahaba asked, how about two? He said two. And then another one, I said, what about one? I said one. Why? Why is the reward Jannah? Because it's so difficult. There's so many issues. It's much easier to raise a boy, a male, than a female. Because if the female goes astray, it's very difficult for her to come back for many, many reasons. For many, many reasons. So there's so much more responsibility. Females, need more protection, more care. There's a surah revealed just for them where it talks about these protections and these issues of why and how and why we are as males responsible and qawwamun ala nisa, why we are caretakers. The responsibility has been put in our hands, and that, yeah, it's authority, it's responsibility, it's not just a privilege, and we take it. But a weak man is not going to be able to take it, and he's going to let loose. He's going to be accused of being tyrannical or whatever, and he's just going to let it go. And then his daughter's going to go wherever, and then God knows what's going to happen. So it's tough, man. It's very tough. But if, as you said, I stop at this, if there is no understanding between the husband and the wife that Islam is what you go to, then it's not going to work. I don't care how many counselors you go to. It does, because even when you go to a counselor, what do you do when you go to an arbitrator? Is you establish before that this man will arbitrate and you accept their decision, right? That's why people go to arbitrate. So Allah says, وَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. If you disagree about something, then take it back to Allah and His Messenger.
Indeed.
Right? Because people are going to have a lot of disagreements, but you take it back to Allah and His Messenger, take it back to the Quran and Sunnah. If that agreement does not exist, forget about it, man. It just doesn't work.
Indeed. My man Sam said, so if society is good, raising them is easy. If society is a mess, then it's very hard to stop her being a mess also. It's a very good point. There's actually a foundation in Islam for that, the hadith of the man who killed 99 men. And Sam is actually a new revert, mashallah. He's one of he's number, I don't know which number he is, but actually another person accepted Islam through Abuamerican. Strangely, I do zero real dawah. Number person number 8 accepted Islam, alhamdulillah. But Sam, he's actually here. He's here in Germany. Normally he'd be here in the background, but I got home late from work, and so I didn't get a chance to invite him over and everything. But the hadith of the man who killed 99 men. This guy, he was a real savage type of guy. He killed 99 people, or he killed 98. I can't remember. And he went looking for a solution to his problem because he wanted to stop. And he went to a worshiper, and the worshiper told him, he asked him, said, what can I do to absolve myself of these, the sin of killing 99 or 98 people? I can't remember which was. And he says, you killed 99 men. There's nothing to absolve you from what you've done. And he killed him, and then he completed killing 99 men or 100. I can't remember exactly. Someone help me there. He went to a wise man, and there's several lessons inside this hadith. So he went to a alim, to a person of study, and he said the same thing. I killed 99 people, or whatever. I killed so and so many people, 99 or 100. He says, I want to absolve myself of this. What can I do? How can I do it? And he told him, he said, you can leave. You have to leave this land. This land is no good for you, and you have to go to this and such land, and those people are good, and you'll be good with them. And so, one of the first lessons of that hadith is that the superiority of the person of knowledge over the person of worship. That the person of worship is better than the person of non-worship, and the person of knowledge is better than the person of non-worship. So this is one of the first lessons of that hadith. So then, obviously, the rest of the hadith goes on. He went that direction, and he died on the way, and he was close to halfway between it. Paraphrasing the hadith, basically. The angels of death came for him, and one was going to take him to paradise, one was going to take him to heaven, and they were arguing and debating on who's going to get him, because one said he's coming towards goodness, and the other one said, well, he was evil and he was leaving, he was an evil person his whole life. But then the other angel said, well, he was coming towards goodness. And so they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance between these two places, and whichever one he's closer to, we get him. So if he's closer to the place of evil, I take him to hell. And if he's closer to the place where he's supposed to change and be better, then the angel said, I'll take him off to paradise. And so Allah shifted the boundary of the earth by one hand span so that he was closer to his destination, showing the mercy of Allah, than he was from where he left to. And he was granted paradise through this. So absolutely, Sam, that's a very, very, very rough paraphrasing of that hadith, on high speed mode, because it is a long hadith actually. So yeah, I don't know if you want to drop anything on that, Gabriel.
Alhamdulillah, I mean, that's the lesson of the hadith, even in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervening there, and even the angels just talking about measuring. I mean, the sabab of this hadith is to show us that you need to move, to make a hijrah, pretty much, from your sins to goodness, and physically from an environment that is bad to an environment that is more conducive to do that. And another thing that we learn is that you are affected by the environment so much, and that's, I mean, no one can debate that. No one can debate. You're surrounded by bad people, as the Prophet said, "Al-marru ala dini khalil." That a man is on the religion, the path, the way of his friend, those around them. So be careful. Look, take heed of who your friends are. Who are your companions? Who are those around you?
Indeed. Yeah. Sahih. Guys, we're going to wrap this up probably with this last question here, because we're coming up on 1 hour and 15 minutes. Q-Man asked, beautiful, which martial art would you begin with and why? Q-Man, me personally, I would say something along the lines of Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think you can get away with one anymore. You gotta have a grapple game, you gotta have a striking game. Of course, we come now into the permissibility, or more like the impermissibility, of striking their face. And this is why I say something like Muay Thai or kickboxing, because you can always take out a man's legs. I mean, you can end it. I watched a guy back when I was like 21, take out a guy's legs. He didn't throw a single punch. He was actually a Thai Muslim living in Germany. Took out a guy's leg, never punched him in the face, whatever. He just blocked up his hands and then just short kicked his thighs until the guy collapsed on the ground. Never threw a punch. So I say kickboxing is always good. You know what I mean? Something like this. Gabriel?
I agree. The same thing. The best combination: Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Guys, we're gonna let Gabriel go. We started late, and it's late. What time is it there, bro? It's really late, man.
Almost 1 a.m. Yeah.
Allahu Akbar, man. Barakallahu feek, bro. You a soldier, man. Mashallah. Mashallah. But Friday's like a day off for you guys out there, right? They still do that.
We're working Friday.
What? Really?
Yeah. Friday is the working day.
Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah khair. In the Middle East, like Fridays is like a day, it's a day off. So I thought all Muslim countries are gonna be like that.
No.
Allahu Akbar. Barakallahu feek. Guys, this is Halal Bad Boys episode 1. Inshallah, we're gonna have some guests on, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? But your main two hosts are gonna be Gabriel and I, inshallah. If you got any suggestions for topics or whatever else, hit Gabriel up on Instagram, right? Yeah. You clocking on Instagram. You got 26,000 followers. Mashallah, bro.
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. So hit him up there. I don't know how fast his response is going to be. His inbox is probably full. You can catch me on Twitter, or you can catch me on a live chat on my website. Make sure you get on the email list or whatever else. Do you have a website, bro?
Yeah, but not active. Not for this. Not for this. My Facebook, Gabriel Romani.
Okay.
Facebook.
So there you got it. Facebook and Instagram. I actually talked to him on Instagram and on Telegram, but Instagram guys, where you can catch them. You can catch me on Twitter. You want to close out with something, brother?
Barakallahu feekum. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Naam. Assalamu alaikum, people. Ashhadu an subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. We are out.
Assalamu alaikum.